Good evening and welcome back to the Imaginary Gallery. It is TJ, your host. We are on the very last chapter of Lundy Bancroft's book, Why Does He Do That? Inside the Minds of Angry and Controlling Men. The last chapter has a beautiful title, Creating an Abuse-Free World. Doesn't that sound gorgeous? It, once again, starts off with some quotes.
I've joined an abuse support group. It feels so nice to talk to other people who get it.
I met this gal at work who said that my partner's behavior is definitely abuse.
I'm so grateful for my friends and family. They've really been there for me.
I told my stepson the next time he calls a girl a bitch, he's gonna be grounded.
My daughter's teacher asked me if everything was all right at home. I lied, and I told her yes. But it's very nice that somebody actually noticed.
Then Mr. Bancroft tells us partner abuse is a cyclone that leaves a large amount of destruction behind as it rips through the lives of women and children. Self-confidence gets destroyed, freedom is lost, progress in anything is stalled, fear exists, there's bitterness, there's economic destruction, heartbreak, humiliation, physical injuries, horrifying custody battles, isolation, wedges are driven between mothers and their kids, confusion, secrets, mistrust between siblings, and lies. Mr. Bancroft tells us that no lady should have to ever live this way. Neither should her children. He also tells us that other people's lives also are affected by this, because for every abused lady, there are gonna be friends and other relatives who suffer as well from their worries and their pain over what they're seeing happening to their girl. Some of the people who approach Bancroft to share their anguish are men who are groping desperately for some kind of clue as to how they can help their daughters and their sisters or mothers who they see being ripped to pieces a day at a time. In fact, Bancroft says it's unusual for him to talk to anybody who's a boy or a girl whose life has not been ruined at some point by an abusive man. The author states that in the last several years, he has been doing public presentations and he's been increasingly discussing the effects on children who are exposed to a partner's abuse. And while he was writing this particular book, he was speaking to a group of police officers in a training session, and that during one of his breaks, a really big, tough-looking cop went up to him and said,
"All this stuff that you're talking about was going on in my family when I grew up. My daddy was just the way you describe. He's abused people. But we all saw through him when we got older, and my mama and I are so close now."
Bancroft says that he told this guy how pleased he was that he was a policeman, so that if a family happens to call for help, they might be sent a cop like him who can see through the children's eyes and know exactly what they're going through, because he was once a victim like that too. We all have a stake at stopping abuse. If not for us, then for our loved ones who may be targets or bystanders, or who may find themselves trapped in an abusive relationship someday. Anybody who chooses to can play an important role in chasing this monster out of our homes, out of our communities, and out of our nations. Abuse is a solvable problem. We know where it comes from. We know why these abusive people don't seem to want to change. We know what it takes to make abuse end. Abusive people specialize in creating mystery and intrigue. But when we clear out that smoke, we're left with an obvious moral wrong and a straightforward task to set it right. All that's required is the clarity of our minds and the will of our communities. Bancroft tells us that throughout his book, he's been giving suggestions to abused people and giving them steps they can take to make sense of what's actually happening, to seek safety, and to set their own healing into motion. He says he's got a few more words of advice for them, but most of this particular chapter is directed towards everyone. Boys, girls, men, women, survivor of abuse or not. who's interested in helping to end abuse. Next, he talks about what the abused lady can do. Bancroft's primary message to you is this: an abusive person distorts the life and the mind of its partner so that she becomes focused on him. The main way out of the abuse vortex, therefore, is to reorient your thinking so that you devote your attention to yourself and to your children. He hopes this book has helped to solve some of the puzzles for you about what's going on in that partner of yours' mind. Now he wants you to see if you can stop puzzling over him and turn all that energy towards moving yourself forward on your chosen path. Most of this chapter will discuss ways in which people can transform the attitudes towards abuse that prevail within their communities. He says not to concern yourself with these suggestions unless you are sure you are ready for them. If you jump from trying to take care of your own abusive relationship to trying to take care of other abused ladies, you may forget that you deserve care taken for yourself. Let other people take on the world for now, and you can just be the hero of your own life. As one book refers to abused women. Taking action in your community against the abuse of women may be an empowering and a healing activity for you, but not if you take it on too soon. You will know when you're ready. He has woven practical ideas through all of the previous chapters, but he would like to leave you with just a few more thoughts. Get support for yourself, no matter how you have to do it. Find somebody somewhere who can understand what you're going through and can be trusted with confidence and who can help you hold on to your sense of reality. You've got to reach out. Keep a journal to document your experience so that when your partner's making you feel crazy with mind games or with sudden fake, nice, sweet behavior, you can look back through your writings and remember who you really are and what it really does. Stay away from people who are not good for you, who don't understand, or who say things that push you down the road to self-blame. Do anything you can think of that is good for you, that nurtures your soul. Even the ladies who have extraordinarily controlling partners often can find some ruse that will allow them to be free enough to work out, go for a walk, take a class, or just get some time alone to think. Keep your abusive partner out of your head as much as you can. Use books like this one to help you understand what exactly it's doing. Watch some YouTube videos on this subject. Naming and understanding is power. If you can understand how he thinks, you can avoid absorbing his thinking yourself and prevent him from crawling inside your head. Do not blame yourself when you don't reach your goals right away. For example, you break down and get back together with him. Just pull yourself together and try again. You will succeed eventually, perhaps even on the very next attempt. Where's your toy? Here's Hero. Where's your toy? This little one is a miracle. This is my little Bandit. He actually passed away. I was with him, took him downstairs from a nap. He got stuck on a plastic grocery sack he was walking around on, and he was struggling. I heard the crinkling sound. It sounded like this. I looked over at him and saw him walk off and hit the wall, and he fell over to the side and just collapsed. I picked him up. He didn't look anything like this. His tongue was out of his mouth. He's hanging out. His eyes were just open, and he didn't have any resistance like to his body like when I'm holding him now. And I panicked because I had just lost his sister. I thought of the video I'd watched on YouTube, and I grabbed his face like this, put my mouth over his nose and mouth, and I did blew in twice. And within a few seconds, this sweet little creature came back to life. And he's been here ever since. And that was a week after the Christmas holiday. So rejoice, Bandit is here. And he's with his daddy.
I am the Narcopath.
Oh, no, you ain't, bitch.
You look like
Who do you think you are?
You are sick. Another reason I chose you as my target was because you seem to be kind of average compared to my beauty. So I knew if I swooped in and became the love of your life, and you found out bad stuff about me later? Well, you'd be too embarrassed to admit that to your friends, because to them, you had it made. I was the most beautiful thing you'd ever seen, and the most beautiful thing they'd ever seen. So I had it made. It was kind of like an insurance policy, because I knew you wouldn't say too much bad about me, because I was giving you a chance. Little do they know you had way more internally than I ever could imagine. They don't need to know. So there.
So when I started to pull away from you, I noticed that none of your friends ever knew it. In fact, I heard through the grapevine you told your friends excuses for me.
Because you didn't want to let it go. You didn't want them to know that I was sleeping with other people and I was moving on. That gave me such a thrill.
Oh yes, I know when I told you when we first started dating I was a virgin, because I found out that you were. I know you were probably shocked when you found out about the thousands of people I've been with before, during, and after you.
Well, honey, that's your own problem. I was trying to be like you, so you'd like me. I couldn't tell you the truth. That's not going to do any good. I had to lie.
It's what I'm good at.
Honey, is the camera off? I'm glad. I hate reporting on those things because they're so true. Yes, the Georgia Guidestones, are all it takes. I read that and I almost vomited. It's disgusting. And so many people out there have no idea they're living in a fantasy world. They think that everything's good and great. Hey, honey, no it ain't, but all I can do is tell them. I can lead a horse to water, but I can't expect it to drink. Maybe you and I could get together later and I'll show you how I like to drink. I'm glad this camera's off. Oh, I can finally be myself. Oh yes, the chemtrails are real. I went outside and I breathed a few chemtrails and I almost vomited and I passed out. But I did have a few drinks at lunch, but still, this was different. This was disgusting. I felt lightheaded. I could feel the aluminum down my throat. It was sick. Who is doing this stuff? I'm gonna get myself a machine gun, maybe, and just fire down any chemtrail-leaving plane I see in the future, because we don't need that crap. I couldn't tell that to the public, though. They're clueless. Their own fantasy world. And those Georgia Guidestones, that is disgusting. They want to cut our population down. Like, who do they think they are? They're nothing special. They're probably stupider than us. We deserve to be here more than they do. Blank faces. Ugh. Anyway, I think I'm going to transition back into being a man, so I'm going to have to come up with a new name for the news. Yeah, Charlie, you know what that means. Oh, it doesn't mean anything. There's some chick trying to get a job here named the Narcopath. She thinks she's better than I am. Well, honey, she ain't. But she can try all she wants. But once I become a man, maybe she'll come in, but I doubt it. She's fugly.